Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria from Università IULM, and firstly, I'd like to apologize for the delay we faced today. But as you know, we're all working from home, so it's very likely that some technical issues might occur. I do apologize for this. Today, the masterclass will be with Professor D'Angela, young professor of management, which I'd like to thank for joining us today. We will have the master class that will last approximately for 45 minutes. Towards the end, we will read out loud all the questions that in case you've got, I'd like to please ask you to write them in the chat, and I'll read them out loud to Professor D'Angela at the end of the masterclass. And after her presentation, we will also cover a few details on the admission procedure, so you'll be back with me for just a few minutes on how to enroll at IULM University, and I'll be delighted to answer all your questions on this process as well. Thank you very much. I don't want to cause any further delays, so I'd like to leave the floor to Professor D'Angela, that I thank once again.
Hi, thank you, Maria. Hi, hello, anyone. I'm Francesca D'Angela. As Maria already said, I am an assistant professor in this university since a while. And before starting my career, I was even a student in this university. So it's a double pleasure for me. Today, we are going to face a topic that I think it's interesting and updated, given the situation we are all in. I'm going to share some slides. Okay. Here we go. Okay, the topic is about the strategic value of technology in the hospitality industry, with a focus on the COVID-19 pandemic we are going through. So this is the short agenda of this masterclass. First of all, we are going to define a couple of key concepts that will guide us throughout this masterclass. And second, we are going to focus on this pandemic crisis and the impact it has on the hospitality industry. And then we are going to see some solutions, some best practices that hospitality companies are putting in place to face the crisis. And I mean, survive until the recovery that we all hope will come soon. And then in the end, we are going to sum up some lessons, some takeaways from the best practice we are going to see. So let's start. The first thing we have to say is what is strategy? Because strategy is a word we are used to use in our everyday life, but in the management domain, it has a specific meaning. Which is, in this case, a set of long-term goals and objectives that an organization, even a company, therefore, could set, and the adoption of actions to achieve that goals and that objectives. In other words, it's a kind of position the company wants to have in the market, and the interaction that therefore it establishes within the environment it is in, because any company cannot be seen as a bubble, but it has to be seen as an organization embedded into an environment. So this is strategy, a set of goals, long-term objectives, and the stream of actions the company has to put in place to achieve them. And in this context, we can summarize this idea of strategy throughout some key questions, very useful to make it very concrete. So we can summarize this idea with the question, how do we make money as an organization, as a company? And to answer to this big, broad question, we have to make a couple of big choices. First of all, where to operate, meaning Yeah.
I'm really sorry, Professor. Sorry for interrupting once again. We're having a slight trouble viewing the slides properly. If you could perhaps share the presentation, not just share the window of the presentation. This way we could see it full screen.
Okay.
It was sort of like cropped from the side. Sorry for interrupting.
No problem. Let's see if in this way it works well. Is it better, Maria?
Much better. Much better.
Okay.
This way is perfect. Sorry. I promise I'll shut up.
No problem.
Thanks a
Feel
lot.
free to talk anytime is needed. Okay, I was saying that the strategy is about how a company makes money, meaning that it has to decide where to be in which industries to be in, and how to behave within each industry. Meaning that it's not enough to say, as a company, I want to be in the hospitality industry, but then you have to decide how you want to compete in that industry. Okay, do you want to compete with a strategy based on your capability of cutting costs, or do you want to compete on the basis of your capabilities to be different from the others? What kind of choices you want to make in terms of product, in terms of segments, in terms of geographic places you want to be present, in terms of amount of activities you want to run internally and the activities you want to outsource. So all these questions are needed to shape a strategy. It's something complex. It's a set of choices that need to be answered on a daily basis period. It's not enough to answer to these questions once. You have to go back on them and think twice at the choices you made on the basis of some relevant information you gather along the way. So it's something very important that every company should focus on. And the strategy is very important because it's one of the two big determinants of the company's profitability. A successful company, a company which makes a lot of money, to use the same words we said before, okay, a company which is able to produce a high net income, okay, to be more precise, is a company with a successful strategy, okay, behind. Of course, in the long run, because you can be very profitable in the short run by accident, but if you are successful in the long run, what is needed is an effective strategy behind your actions. At the same time, there is even a second determinant of companies' profitability, and this second determinant is the industry structure. Of course, the external environment matters. It could matter a lot. In fact, the external conditions influence companies' capability to make money. And it is clear nowadays because we know that no matter how good companies are in putting in place a strategy, the COVID pandemic, which is something external, okay, is deeply affecting any company's profitability, no matter how good they are in their strategy. So there are two determinants, an external one, the industry structure and some external forces like the COVID pandemic, and then an internal one, the company's strategy. And in this picture, okay, I want to put technology as well, because technology is something that disrupted the two determinants at the same time. It could affect deeply both the industry structure and the strategy, the way companies work on a daily basis. Okay, so this is what we are going to see, the role of technology for companies' profitability. It's not a new topic. This discussion about the role of technology as a determinant of companies' profitability is a long discussion that started long time ago, at the beginning of the new century, we can say, but maybe even a bit earlier, because in the 90s, internet started becoming pervasive. It was spread out. This new technology came into our everyday life, or started this disruptive process, which nowadays is evident. So since the beginning of the new century, very important scholars, here you have Michael Porter, who is one of the most recognized, at global level scholar in the management field. He was interested in the way internet affected strategy. And what is interested in this early study is that he pointed out that the effect of technology could be both positive or negative. Okay, so there are cases where the role of technology is positive. Okay, is a source of profitability, or in some other cases, it's something that works against the profitability. For example, reducing the opportunities coming from the external environment in which companies compete. So it's an interesting discussion that started even into the academic world, okay, because it was already a topic into the society, the civil society. So the two big questions that we are going to face in this class are, first of all, how the technology, particularly the digital technology, is affecting nowadays companies in the hospitality industry. And second, if it is a resource or a critical element in facing the COVID-19 pandemic. So to what extent it is a positive or negative element in this context. So to answer to these two questions, we have to spend some words on the effect of COVID on the hospitality industry. It's a massive effect. It's really amazing. When you look at these numbers, you can see, even without looking at the numbers, you can see from the curve how severe is the effect of the pandemic on the hospitality industry. Maybe one of the worst effects that you can see across the industries. Some data tell us that the decline in 2020 against the previous year will be between minus 58% and minus 78%, meaning that the industry almost disappeared, okay, has been reduced down to 1/3 than what it was before. And this crisis has, it is the worst the world is going through since a lot of years. As you can see in the chart, is much worse than Zika, the mosquitoes that was causing serious diseases some years ago, especially in South America. It's much worse than the financial crisis that in 2007 affected the world. It's much worse than the bird flu. It's much worse than the SARS. It's much worse than the 9/11, the biggest terrorist attack we can remember. Okay, so we are going through something very unexpected and very serious in terms of impact on this industry. Okay, we talk about $1.4 trillion lost in terms of travel expenditure, 1.4 or even worse, 1.9. So we are talking about a very serious situation worldwide. Of course, the impact is not the same throughout the hospitality industry. Some, segments are doing better than others, are less impacted by this pandemic. For example, hotel chains are doing better than independent structures, independent hotels, because hotel chains can make some cost savings, can cut some costs in terms of headquarter, okay, helping the single branches, helping the single hotels, okay, to survive this serious crisis. And they can choose some light formulas like franchising instead of owned hotels to share the risk with the independent entrepreneurs that want to be affiliated to the international hotel chain. These choices are not options. These choices are not options for independent hotels. They cannot share the risk with anyone else. They cannot cut at central level costs, which do not affect the hotel. So they cannot use those levers. Okay, they have to rely on online intermediaries like OTA, online travel agencies. But if they do that, they lose a big part of their profitability. And then they are, of course, forced to close like the hotel chains, but they do not have the same financial resources to resist in this hard period. So for hotel chains, things are better than for independent hotels. And even in terms of different economic segments, economy hotels are doing better than luxury hotels, because economy hotels rely on some segments, for example, truck drivers, extended stay guests, business travelers, okay, that remain relatively healthy despite travel restrictions, with massively affected the luxury industry, which is struggling a lot in those days. In the same way, the impact of the crisis on leisure hotels is different from the impact on urban markets. Okay, so if we compare resorts with urban markets, with cities, we can see that resorts are doing better because they recover soon, especially in some destinations like the Far East, where the pandemic came first and which were recovering before summer. So, for example, in China, Club Med registered high occupancy ratios, 88% in the first half of August, while in the cities, the situation was still a disaster, was still a mess. For example, in Italy, our big destinations, Florence, Milan, Rome, Venice, are still struggling, and they were struggling even in summer. The occupancy rates were single digit, something unbelievable. Okay, just during the Second World War, they had such a low occupancy rate. So we are talking about a very serious situation. As you can see here, you have some data about what I was saying before. In Italy, the big tourism destinations were highly impacted from the pandemic, while some minor territories, like, I don't know, Bergamo, Turin, and especially the bar called the rest of Italy, which includes the small towns, some countrysides, rural places, and even mountain destinations, were less impacted by the pandemic, even because the density of the population is lower, and even because of that, they were not affected like crowded places like Venice, Florence, Rome, Naples, or Milan, and they were more suitable for a holiday because of the same reasons that make them less impacted by the pandemic. You can rest there, you can have a holiday without being surrounded by people. You can take advantage of the outdoor activities you can make there. You can enjoy the nature, and therefore the decrease in the international and domestic visitors is lower than what it is for the top tourism destinations. So, how hospitality companies are reacting to this severe situation? What are they doing? We are going to see some best practices at companies level and even at destination level. I think you should know that tourism can be studied at two levels. We have a firm level, so we study individual companies within the tourism domain. So we study a hotel, we study a bed and breakfast, we can study a tour operator, we can study a travel agency, so individual companies. But then there is a second level, the destination level, which is a very important dimension in tourism, because the competition takes place, first of all, at destination level and only after at companies level. Because when you decide your holidays, the first thing you decide is where to go, and where is not in which hotel, where is in which place, in which destination. So destinations matter. They are a fundamental driver to support individual companies, okay, in support their competitiveness and in attracting people, visitors from the domestic market or from the international one. So what we are going to see now are some clever solutions that companies are putting in place at both companies at destination level. Let's start with companies. We can find out best practices in terms of product, processes, people, and local community. Per each of them, technology could be the core part, okay, of the best practice. Like in the processes, you easily can read tech-based in the square, in the green square in bold, okay? But even in the other cases where technology is not written, it's still fundamental, as it is an enabler to make the other thing happen, to put in place the other best practices. So technology is pervasive in this scheme, and we are going to see right now how the role it played in this reaction to the pandemic. All the figures we are going to see from now on in the following slides are part of a project carried out by the students in the master program of International Tourism and Management, which takes place at ULM University as well. So first of all, at product level, during the pandemic, new services has been put in place. Why? To ensure clients' safety on the one hand, to have a new source of revenue in a period where the traditional source of revenue, rooms, were closed. So this stream of revenue was totally not working. And third, to maintain customer engagement. Regarding these best practices, we can spend a couple of words on Airbnb. Airbnb was struggling, as all the other accommodation companies, because its main stream of revenue was dropped down, run to zero, because travel restrictions, the fear of the people, make them stop traveling. So there were no demands for Airbnb rooms or apartment. So in this situation, the company went through a serious drop in their revenues. And what they did to face this situation was to boost their online experiences. Airbnb experiences started in 2016, but during the pandemic played a major role. They are a second stream of revenues that consist in selling an experience run by an Airbnb host. So as a guest, you pay a fee, which could be 20 euros, which could be 30 euros, that could be 5 euros, whatever, to have an online experience with other people, a few people. In this case, what you see in the screenshot is Sangrian Secrets with Drag Queen, one of the bestseller in this online experience ranking during summer. So in this case, the company the hosts, and even the clients were still involved in a relationship, a business relationship, which was functional to maintain an engagement, to generate a source of revenue for the company. And of course, it was something very safe because it was a remote activity. Everyone was at its own home. Very clever. Some other big players in the hospitality industry, like hotels or resort, decided to reconvert some of their spaces to deliver new services, new products, if you want. In this case, there is a couple of examples here. The first one, Voi Hotels, is a small chain, a brand which is part of the Alpi Tour Galaxy. So it's part of the biggest tour operator here in Italy. And these Voi hotels, part of them, decided to dedicate some rooms in their building for smart workers. So as a smart worker, you can rent a room, you can work from that room with a workstation equipped for you, with the private high-speed Wi-Fi connection, a coffee corner, and if you want, a pocket lunch with an in-room delivery. So you can work at the seaside, maybe when your family is enjoying the seaside, and you can spend this extraordinary part of your lifetime working in a resort. Or the Mandarin Oriental decided to reconvert some rooms into a sort of private spaces with high-speed Wi-Fi as well, printing facilities, dining credit, and access to fitness center to host workers as well. A third best practice related to the product is about the adjustment of existing services. Once again, to generate revenues during the lockdown, where the traditional source of revenue was stopped, or to continue satisfying the customer needs in a different way. In this case, once again, technology is an enabler. Very important. In this example, we have a hotel that decided to use the restaurant for delivery because it was close to the public because of the lockdown. So of course they deliver their dishes, their meals in a small scope within 15 kilometers radius. And of course, they are sure online secure payments. So you have access to the menu online, you make your reservation maybe through WhatsApp, and then you pay online as well. So technology is fundamental to put in place this product adjustment. the last example about the first example about processes, how the internal processes changed because of the pandemic, is based on technology. It's a different kind of best practice. Here, technology is the protagonist of these two clever solutions. On the left, we have an example of Italy Bike Hotel, which is a hotel that decided to serve bike tourists first, okay, as a favorite target, a prominent target. So it's a hotel designed for these specific segment needs. And because of the pandemic in Italy, even Italy Bikes hotels, as all the others, were closed during spring. And this specific Italy Bike hotels, which is the Dori Bike Riccione, which is in the Emilia-Romagna region on the sea, decided to engage with their customers, even if the hotel is closed. They invited their loyal customers, bikers, from all around the world to join the hotel tour guide on Swift, which is a digital platform that you can use to ride from home, as you can see in the blue picture. So through Facebook, they invited their guests to join a ride on Swift. And in this case, they somehow tried to replace traditional experiences with online ones, but especially to maintain alive their relationship with the client in a very sad period where people want to follow their passions, even if they can't. So this was a clever initiative to stay in touch with their customers and somehow stimulate their passion and tell them we are still here, we are still, alive. To have a different kind of best practice related to internal processes. Some hotels, like this one, Le Bijou in Switzerland, decided to replace a service with a digital platform. So the concierge, which was a man or a woman traditionally, has been replaced by a digital concierge named James, which is a machine that learns from the interactions with guests, and therefore it's able to offer tailor-made recommendations and services. So it's a new way to deliver services to the customer. This was very important during the pandemic because in Switzerland, hotels were open. And this hotel, Le Bijou, is very clever. He decided to leverage on the pandemic as much as possible to turn a constraint into an opportunity. So they designed a COVID service, meaning rooms for people with COVID to spend their quarantine in the hotel. And at the same time, to host people with no COVID infection, they replaced traditional service with the digital ones so that they can still deliver their services without personal contact with clients. Going ahead, in terms of internal processes, technology played and still is playing a crucial role in terms of cost optimization. You can replace people with machines. You can replace service or procedures delivered in person, like the check-in, with an app, like the contactless arrival by Hilton, an app that allows you to check in before you arrive, and then and even to get your digital key to open your door before your arrival. Or like on the right, there is a robo bartender that is replacing physical bartenders in a bar, so that you can still deliver the service by keeping the social distance, which is fundamental. In terms of human resource management, technology is important as an enabler, because throughout a digital platform, for example, many hotel chains like Hilton offered some temporary jobs for their employees, which were forced not to work because of the lockdown. So they tried to help to support their personnel throughout the lockdown by offering temporary jobs for them. Some hotels were very clever in understanding that they should change their market. They should focus on the local market. And therefore, some of them put in the market some packages made for locals. So a tour of the city for local, or an aperitif outdoor for locals, so that they increase their stream of revenue by addressing new markets which were ignored or not that much considered before. Going to destinations best practices, once again, there are some of them where technology is the protagonist: online experiences, visit from home, or safety measures, tech-based. But even in the other categories, technology is always an enabler. So still important for their implementation. So apart from economic incentives, which are based on, financial resources given to hotels to boost both domestic and international tourism, we can start looking at marketing campaigns. Marketing campaigns have been fundamental to support the local companies. So the destination, the DMO, the destination management organization, so the body responsible for tourism in a destination, could support the local business by launching some marketing campaigns to encourage people to come in the future, to stimulate future trips, and to engage with potential visitors, even during this lockdown period. And you have here a couple of examples, like Toscana da Casa, so Tuscany from home, ideas to travel, staying at home, or Explore France, where even the people were invited to share their pics from previous trips in France. So interesting tools to engage with potential visitors, telling them you can start traveling with your imagination today, but maybe in the future you can come physically. We are waiting for you. Or even always in terms of marketing campaigns, other initiatives like do not cancel, postpone your holidays, to help companies retaining the money they still received from their customers. So if you have already paid for a trip, do not cancel, just postpone your holiday. And you can see here examples from Visit Norway, or Visit Poland, or Visit Malta. In all the cases, it's the same message. Dream now, visit later. Don't cancel, postpone it. Dream Malta now and visit later. So technology is fundamental, because all those campaigns has been delivered throughout the digital channels first, okay, and mainly, and then maybe even even through some traditional media. Some other examples in terms of destination, some other campaigns that are based on partnership, because when things are hard, collaboration becomes important, because anyone needs a shoulder, okay, needs somebody else to share the situation with. Online experiences are another example of interesting destination best practice. They allow people to visit the cultural heritage from home, and therefore they stimulate the demand for future trips. And when they're not for free, when they charge people, they could generate potentially unlimited revenues. And there are a lot of examples here in Italy, Vatican's museums, or the Uffizi in Florence, or many other museums decided to open their doors to the public from home by putting in place online tours to share their cultural heritage, their masterpieces to the world, and invite people to come physically when it will be possible. Technology is fundamental even to ensure safety. For example, in Spain, but even in Italy, it was fundamental. Apps and technology-based devices were fundamental to assure safety on the beaches, to avoid, too much people stay on the beach at the same time, okay, to allow people to book or reserve for the following days and so on. Another process deeply affected by technology, even before the pandemic, but a lot during it, is the human resource department, because technology allow people to train during the lockdown. So there are a lot of examples of training programs that were put in place during the pandemic spring months to have people to use their time, spend this time in which they were forced to stay at home in training activities. So at the beginning, we started our class with two research questions. How is technology affecting companies in the hospitality industry, even in light of the pandemic? And if in this particular situation, if technology is a resource or a critical element? We can answer to these questions by saying that technology could be seen as a driver to increase companies' competitiveness and profitability, and even to stimulate innovation in different ways, in terms of management of companies' processes, smart working, online services, e-commerce, in terms of the management of the customer relationship, marketing campaigns on social media, interactive experiences, online experiences to engage with the visitor or the future visitor, to manage the customer journey, which is an interesting point. App to make check-in, check-out activities, the digital concierge, which allows even the customization of the offer, which is an element which is gaining importance nowadays, where the customer is more and more demanding than in the past. Or even to guarantee safety, because it allows to maintain the social distances and guarantee hygiene standards. It's important. Technology is fundamental to deliver trainings, to use this time at home as a resource somehow, to learn something new, and in the end, to improve the company profitability, okay? As a consequence of all the elements I have just listed, and even because throughout the technology, the companies, as we have seen, could open new streams of revenues, which are fundamental to survive in this period. Maybe these new streams of revenue could not make a company profitable, but could be of help to cover companies' costs, limit the losses, and let the company survive until the recovery. To me, this is maybe the only positive legacy of this horrible situation. It's a positive legacy for the future because as a consequence of the pandemic, it has been a huge acceleration in the digitalization processes throughout the companies and through all the industries, not only in the hospitality industries, but even at general level. Here you have some data from a McKinsey research published in August, where they surveyed a lot of senior managers across 15 countries in a lot of different industries. So it's not about tourism and it's not about hospitality, but hospitality is in somehow. So what is true for all the industries is true even for hospitality. As you can see, the acceleration is impressive. 7 years. We are 7 years ahead than what we were last year in digitalization because of the pandemic, which is amazing. And what is even more important is that according to this data, this innovation, these technology improvements are something which is going to stay. It's going to stick in the future, okay? And that's why I call it a positive legacy. And the senior managers, they changed their mind. They thought that in the past, they thought that technology was important, of course, but the focus of this importance, the main reason for this importance was related to the technology capability to cut cost, to generate cost savings. Today, the scenario is different. Their mindset has changed. The fact that technology is a source of savings accounts for the 10%. For the 30%, it's important to cultivate technology capabilities. And for the 38%, it's important to invest more in technology to make it a source of competitive advantage, to make it a pillar of a company's strategy in the end. So this is the best answer that we can give to our first two questions. This is true for the hospitality industry, and it's true even for other tourism industry, but this is another story and we do not have time for it. Thank you very much for your attention. Maria, we cannot hear you.
Sorry, yes. Sorry. I was thanking you once again and thanking all the people in the audience. I believe I had the feeling we recovered so smoothly thanks to your beautiful masterclass. For the delay and the technical issues, I do apologize for. I've been following the chat throughout the meeting, but I believe everything was so clear. Nobody had questions. I saw some students that were chatting in the chat that are already in touch with us from the admissions office because they want to enroll in the Master of Science in Hospitality and Tourism Management. I asked everyone in the audience, if you've got questions from now on, again, please, I invite you to write them in the chat. If you agree, I'll start off with a very brief presentation on IULM's world, more in general. And so I'll start sharing my screen, and I take this opportunity to thank Professor D'Angela once again. Thank you very much. Here we go. Right now, I hope you can all see my screen. Super briefly, I'd like to say a couple of words.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Professor D'Angela. Thanks a lot. As Professor D'Angela said before, she has been a IULM student, and I've been a student of Università IULM as well. The university is located in Milan, and the main focus, the core of interest of this university is communication in the first place, together with the languages, tourism, and arts. Here you can see just a few very brief information about the university. It was established a little over 50 years ago, And we do have 3 faculties, the most numerous one in communication, the one in interpreting and translation, which was actually the one the university was firstly founded on, and then the Faculty of Arts and Tourism. It's a private, non-for-profit university. It means that students do pay tuition fees, but they are entirely reinvested for student services and within the university. As you can see here, we're not a massive university. We have around 7,000 students with more than 300 teaching staff members. In English taught courses, we do have around 20% of international students. With these numbers, we can guarantee great services. We deal with international students on a very personal level. We know all of them. We take them with us through their academic journey from the moment they discover our university up until they graduate and afterwards as well. We do have 7 buildings. This is something quite unique about our university because it's like an American style campus. All the buildings of the university are around one street, and this can give the students a great opportunity. They don't have to travel around the city to reach one class and the other, but they can experience this American style campus at its best. And of course, we are based in Milan. Milan, from the very name of the city, it meant originally in the middle of the lands. What it provides is that it truly is a multicultural hub. You might know Milan for fashion, for design, for food, but it's way more than that. It's also, of course, the economic capital of Italy. And of course, the region where Milan is located is Lombardy. In this slide, you can see just a few information regarding the university and the services, especially that the university offers for students. We can divide them in 3 main areas. The international dimension. We do offer students the opportunity, of course, of spending some time abroad while they're studying here at Università IULM. You have to consider, for example, for the masterclass we just attended, which was part of IULM Flow and was aimed at the promotion of the masterclass of the Master of Science in Hospitality and Tourism Management. For that program, for example, you can decide if you want to acquire a dual degree. So if you want to spend your second year at a partner university, for example, at the University of Central Florida, more specifically at the Rosen College, which is one of the top 3, I believe, colleges for hospitality in the hospitality industry in the United States. Of course, you can decide if you want to take part in the Erasmus program and any study abroad program. One of the reasons why I personally chose IULM were the links with the job market. I didn't want to study 700 million years and then be unemployed, but I wanted to study something practical, something that gave me the tools to be a professional. And this is exactly what happened. And I need to thank my university for this. Any student of the university can benefit from the link with more than 1,400 partner companies. And of course, we organize a lot of activities tailored for student needs while they're studying at IULM. In this slide, you can see briefly the Italian education system, which I will skip at the moment. I will just tell you that the program that Professor D'Angela spoke about and that she teaches at as well is a 2 years postgraduate program in hospitality and tourism management. So it's something you can access after you've completed your bachelor's degree. It's also a very safe place to study. Here you can see what we did after the pandemic started. Of course, we've just learned how the hospitality industry had to tackle all these issues that came up throughout the pandemic from a technological perspective. Here you can see practically what the university did for its students during the pandemic. We not just switched the entire academic offer from in presence to online. We provided students with all the necessary tools to make sure they had all the safety measures were in place, but we also provided them with a lot of psychological support, peer-to-peer meetings, and we organized also mindfulness sessions for our students. In this slide, you can see the bachelor's degree offer. Our programs are the perfect mirror of the faculties that Università IULM has. The first faculty we talked about before was the one in interpreting and translation, and therefore we have a bachelor's degree in interpreting and communication. The programs that are part of the faculty of communication are communication, media and advertising, and corporate communication and public relations, which is offered both in Italian and in English. And part of the Faculty of Tourism and Arts, we offer the bachelor's degree in Tourism Management and Culture, the bachelor's in Arts, Media, Cultural Event. And from this very year, from 2020, we've started offering the bachelor's degree in Fashion and Creative Industries. At the moment, the bachelor's degree that we offer in English is Corporate Communication and Public Relations. In this slide, you can see the master's degree, the 2 years master degree that the university offers. At the beginning on the top of the slide, you'll see the Italian taught programs, and at the bottom you'll see strategic communication and hospitality and tourism management. Around 10 days ago, we had the Masterclass to present, to promote also the Master of Science in Strategic Communication, which is of course also a dual degree. But today we gave this chance to students to discover better IULM's world, and especially the Master of Science in Hospitality and Tourism Management. Of course, if you've got any questions on any of the things I'm saying, please write them in the chat. And together with the bachelor's and master's degrees, we also offer a wide range of one-year master. I suggest you take a screenshot of this slide. On the top right, you'll see the English taught ones, and at the bottom left, you'll see the Italian taught ones. For any questions on these masters, we are always at your disposal. At the end of the presentation, you'll see our contact details, and we will be happy to provide you with all the necessary information. The admission requirements for bachelor's degree are very similar than we will see afterwards to master degrees. The entire procedure is done online. We have a dedicated application platform, which is called apply.iulm.it. The only thing you need, of course, are 12 years of schooling, proficiency in the language the course is taught in, and you're ready to go. And of course, you need to be enrolled or have already obtained a final high school diploma, or be enrolled in your last year of high school. You start the application from apply.iulm.it, and from there on, we will be right by your side for all the next steps. Here is the procedure for 2-year Masters of Science. Of course, in this case, you won't need just a high school diploma, but also be enrolled in a bachelor's degree, and or perhaps having already obtained a bachelor's degree. Together with it, of course, you need proficiency in the language the course is taught in, and good knowledge together, as it said in the slide, with very strong motivation to pursue a career in the program of your liking. As you saw before from the list of programs that I showed you, they're very specific, so that's the reason why you will need mostly very strong motivation. Financial aid opportunities and tuition fees. For what concerns tuition fees, we do offer a flat rate for international students. So for all the students that whose household produces income outside Italy, there is this flat rate, which is equal to 8,400 euros per academic year for undergraduate programs, and it's 9,800 euros per academic year for 2-year postgraduate programs. Both these fees are divided into 3 installments, and they refer per year. I'm very also pleased to tell you that we do offer several financial aid opportunities for the most talented students, both for bachelor's as well as for master's. We offer 50% tuition reduction purely based on merit. So we will take into account your final high school score or bachelor score, and this will define your eligibility for this 50% tuition reduction. If you're interested in it, once you completed the application procedure and you've passed the admission test, you can just send us an email and we will evaluate your eligibility for it. Together with it, we also offer a discounted rate on campus accommodation. As I told you before, in this beautiful American-style campus, there are 2 residence dorms. One is right on campus, and the other one, it's a newly renovated farm 1 minute away, walking distance from the university. And you can get this discounted rate for 280 euros per month, which is a very good deal for Milan prices, trust me. On top of it, so not one or the other, but on top of all these opportunities, students can also benefit from a DSU regional scholarship. In order to apply for it, we will have, in this case, to analyze not just, you will have to meet not just some merit requirements, but also income, assets, and properties will be evaluated. If you've got any questions, again, I'll be happy to cover them all. These are a few facts about our campus. It takes just 10 minutes by train to get from our campus to the city center, to Duomo more specifically. There are 3 on-campus cafeterias, plenty of services for students, and there are plenty of rooms and parks also right within the campus area. I'd like to thank you all for your attention. Here you can find our contact details, the email address, of course, the website, and we also provide assistance to students via WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is connected to the phone over here, and I'm always in touch with the students. So you can just send me a message and I'll be delighted again to cover all the queries you might have. I'll stop sharing the screen. I don't know. All right. I'll read through the questions and I'll read them and I'll answer you. This question, okay, the first question was for Professor D'Angela. One second, that I will take note of the question for Professor D'Angela, and I will make sure we have a feedback from her as soon as possible. Do you have any improvement on the industry? Contact details to apply? Yes, thank you very much. Beautiful. I'd like to thank also my colleague Alberto Zannetti for answering to all these questions in the chat. Also to the ones related to the admission procedure. I'm seeing now that I look very, very dark. I apologize for this. I thank also Alberto for answering in the chat. Guys, thank you very much for this. We will take notes of all your questions and we will refer them to Professor D'Angela. Let me see. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all your messages, and I hope to see you again all very soon. Thanks a lot for listening to our lecture, and I hope to see you all next year here in Milano. Thanks a lot.